Brexit betrayal, how David Cameron failed to secure EU deal and came back with crumbs. David Cameron negotiated a deal to give the UK a special status in the EU in 2016, but immediately after his return from Brussels, Brexit campaigners and even some of his own MPs accused him of failure, claiming he had returned with mere crumbs. In a similar position to Mr. Cameron, Theresa May reached an agreement with the EU on Brexit last November after months of negotiations. However, immediately after the announcement, the Prime Minister received huge criticism and faced a slew of resignations from her cabinet in protest at her Withdrawal Agreement, which covers the terms of the UK's divorce and the framework of future relations with the EU. Ahead of a House of Commons vote next week, a BBC study suggests the Prime Minister is heading for an unprecedented defeat with 433 MPs due to vote against the deal and just 206 voting in support of Mrs. May. Those against include 111 rebel Conservative backbenchers, the report adds. It could be argued that this should have come as no surprise because, prior to the referendum, former Prime Minister David Cameron faced similar difficulty when attempting to negotiate a new settlement with the bloc. Prior to the 2016 referendum, Mr. Cameron promised to win a host of concessions from Brussels that would convince Britons to remain in a newly invigorated Europe. However, just like Theresa May, his renegotiations failed to win over Tory MPs as he did not achieve all he set out to, or claimed he would in his Conservative Party manifesto. Mere moments after announcing his deal and the date of the Brexit referendum, 6 senior Tories announced they would be campaigning for vote leave. Justice Secretary Michael Gove, Work and Pensions Secretary Ian Duncan Smith, Culture Secretary John Whittingdale, Employment Minister Priti Patel, Leader of the House Chris Grayling, Northern Ireland Secretary Theresa Villers, and former Mayor of London Boris Johnson all decided to support Brexit during the referendum campaign. Mr. Cameron said the changes in his deal included curbs on EU workers' benefits, protections for non-Euro nations and an opt-out from ever closer union, but Brexit campaigners and MPs promptly questioned whether the promise was worth the paper it was written on. Richard Tice, co-founder of Leave.eu, blasted, "The Prime Minister promised half a loaf, begged for a crust and came home with crumbs." UKIP leader Nigel Farage branded the deal truly pathetic and said it had not strengthened the argument for staying in the EU. He tweeted, "This is a truly pathetic deal. Let's leave the EU, control our borders, run our own country and stop handing 55 meters every day to Brussels." And Conservative MEP Daniel Hannan said, "No new treaty."